you to the April 26, 2022 meeting of the City Plan Commission. Before we begin, I'll outline the procedure that we'll follow for a public hearing. As each agenda item is called, the applicant or his or her representative or persons for the request will be allowed to speak. Then persons against the request will be allowed to speak. If there is opposition to the request, the applicant will be allowed to make a short rebuttal. All persons wishing to speak need to come to the microphone. They use that podium at the front of the room. Please state your name and address for the record. All statements made should be relevant to the agenda item and be limited to 3 minutes. If there are several persons in favor of or opposed to a request, we encourage you to allow 1 or 2 persons to act as spokesperson for the group. If you like, a spokesperson for a group may request that the group stand and be recognized. While public discourse is very important to the commission, we have to maintain order in the meeting so that all persons may be heard and city business may be conducted. If so directed by me, the sergeant at arms shall remove from this meeting any persons while addressing the commission or while attending the commission meeting, making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks, become boisterous, or making unauthorized remarks from the audience, stomping of feet, whistles, yells, or similar demonstrations. The commission members have reviewed each of these items in a previous work session. The recommendations we make tonight to the city council will be based on the work session and the information provided by staff, as well as any additional information presented tonight. After completing the hearing on each item, the commission will consider action on the item. The action taken tonight on these items will be in the form of a recommendation to the city council. The city council will also conduct a hearing on these items, which will be held on Tuesday, May 17th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Bosque Theater of the Waco Convention Center, 100 Washington Avenue. The record, the recommendation of the Plan Commission and new testimony will be considered by the council at that time. The first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes for March 29th, 2022 work session and March 29th, 2022 business meeting. Are there any changes or additions? Seeing none, they stand approved as written. The first item on our agenda are subdivision plats. Our first one for us.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request on the following subdivision plat. Final plat and construction plans of the Sanderson Farms Edition, Lot 4, Block 2. City staff has reviewed the request and recommends approval of the subdivision plat.
Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak on this item? Is anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? Close the public hearing on this item. We have a recommendation of approval from staff. We'll entertain a motion.
Like motion that we recommend.
Second. Ramos, motion by Mr. Ramos, second by Mr. Briscoe. Any final discussion?
Rouse?
Yes.
Briscoe?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Embry?
Yes.
Fajardo?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Lane? Yes. Ramos?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
What are the next plats we have before us tonight?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request for the following subdivision plats. Preliminary plat of the Sam Bass Edition, final plat and construction plans of the Hilltop Heights Edition, and final plat and construction plans of the Sunwest Village Edition, Part 13. Staff has is recommending approval with condition for each of these subdivision plats.
Welcome to the public hearing. Is the applicant or is there a representative here to speak on any of these plats? Is anyone here to speak in opposition to these plats? Close the public hearing. We have a recommendation of approval with conditions from staff. If there's further discussion, we'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve based on staff findings.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Brown, second by Mr. Lane.
Send with conditions.
Approve the conditions. Okay. Thanks.
And please poll the commission.
Rouse?
Yes.
Briscoe?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Embry?
Yes.
Fajardo?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Lane? Yes. Ramos?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes. In the case of Z-22 or Z-22-21, what is the recommendation?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is public hearing on a request from Alliance Syndicate 2 LP for a 1.559 acre tract of land situated in the B Road Survey Abstract Number 759, McLennan County, Texas, and being a portion of the remainder of that called 70.32 acre tract of land described in a deed to Alliance Syndicate 2 LP as recorded in MCC number 2014-026928 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, and also being a portion of the proposed Block 3 of Chapel Ridge Addition Phase 9 and a portion of proposed Block 6 of Chapel Ridge Addition Phase 11 and located southeast of Chapel Road and Ritchie Road to rezone from R1B to R2. The applicant has requested that this item be continued to the May 24th Plan Commission meeting, and staff recommends approval of the request for continuance.
Well, public hearing is still open on this item, all correctly.
That's correct.
So is the applicant here to speak on the continuance? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the continuance? Okay. Public hearing will remain open with a request for a continuance. If there's any further discussion, or entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the continuance.
Second. Motion by Mr. Lane, second by Ms. Reynolds. Please poll the commission.
Rouse,
Yes.
Briscoe,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Embry,
Yes.
Fajardo,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Jefferson,
Yes.
Lane. Yes. Ramos,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Vickers.
Yes.
In the case of Z-22-22, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is public hearing on a request from Sterling Thompson on behalf of Linkage Credit Union for property at 4527 Spate Avenue for special permit for financial institutions providing goods or services directly to customers and motor vehicles outside of an enclosed structure in an O2 district. We mailed out 13 notices on this request and had 0 return. Planning Services recommends approval of the special permit subject to special provisions and conditions and based on the following findings. 1, that the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. 2, that the proposed use is compatible with the appropriate and orderly development area in which it is located. 3, that the proposed use would not be more objectionable to neighboring properties because of traffic congestion, noise, fumes, vibrations, or any other characteristics than any use permitted in the zoning district without the grant of a special exception. And 4, that available community facilities and services, including the road system providing access to the proposed use, are adequate for the proposed use. These findings are required for the granting of a special permit as per section 28-122 of the City of Waco zoning ordinance.
Open the public hearing on this item. Is the applicant here to speak? Anyone else here to speak in favor of this item? Anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? Close the public hearing. We have a recommendation of approval from the city staff. Any questions or discussion? Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve based on city staff recommendation.
Second. The motion by Mr. Vickers, second by Mr. Ross. Any final discussion? Please poll the commission.
Rouse,
Yes.
Briscoe,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Embry,
Yes.
Fajardo,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Jefferson,
Yes.
Lane. Yes. Ramos,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Vickers.
Yes. In the case of Z-22-23, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair and members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Zachary Garrick on behalf of ZD Garrick Properties LLC for property at 603 South 9th Street for a special permit for a bed and breakfast inn in an O2 district. We mailed out 42 notices and had 0 returned on this request. Planning Services recommends approval of the special permit subject to special provisions and conditions and based on the findings required for the granting of the special permit as per section 28-122 of the City of Waco zoning ordinance that were previously read on record.
Do We will open the public hearing on this item. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak?
Yes, Zachary Garrett. If you have any questions, just ask away.
Do you have any questions for the applicant? Is there anyone else? Are you here to speak in favor or in opposition?
Just a question on parking, what the planned parking would be.
Okay, if you'd like, you can come up to the podium, just state your name and address, and you'll technically be addressing the commission.
Kim Robinson, 625 South 9th Street. Just curious how the parking is going to go on that alleyway. There's already a bed and breakfast property on that same alleyway, and with I think there's about 6 more STRs going in on that same block. Just kind of concerned about traffic and 10 additional people parking off of that same alleyway.
Are you able to speak to at least on-site parking that?
Sure. So the parking requirement for any short-term rental is to provide at least 1 parking space per bedroom that is rented out. In this specific case, there are 9 units on the property. 1 will be used by the resident manager, and since that is considered long-term dwelling, the parking requirement for that would be 2 spaces, plus the 8 additional spaces that would be required for each of the other 8 rooms that would be rented out. There are currently about 6 spots available that are accessed off of 9th Street, and then there's another 6 to 7 that are being proposed that would be accessed off of the alley. Parking would not be allowed in the alley, but if the alley is used for access for parking, it will be required to be paved to the extent of this lot.
That answer your question? If anyone else here to speak in favor, anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? Applicant like to make any statement? Or
She did it perfectly. All the parking spots were done.
okay, we'll close the public hearing. We have a recommendation of approval from city staff. Any discussion or questions before we vote for motion? We will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve based on staff's findings and conditions.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Prisco for approval. Any final discussion? Please poll the commission.
Rouse,
Yes.
Briscoe,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Embry,
Yes.
Harder,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Jefferson,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Vickers.
Yes.
The case of Z-22-24 is a recommendation of city staff.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Harris Arnhart on behalf of WTX Development Company LLC for property at 2022 and 2024 North 5th Street to rezone from R2 to O3. We mailed out 45 notices on this request, had 0 returned, but did receive an email from the neighborhood association in opposition of the request. Planning Services recommends approval of this request to change the zoning from R2 to O3 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan and the Imagine Waco, a plan for greater downtown. 2, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in the O3 zoning district. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for the O3 zoning district. 4, there is O3 zoning near the subject property. And 5, the proposed O3 zoning is low-intensity mixed-use zoning district that is compatible with the surrounding area and the development pattern of the 4th and 5th Street corridor.
Thank you. We'll open the public hearing. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak on this? Is anyone else here to speak in favor of this item? Is anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? I'll close the public hearing. We have a recommendation of approval from staff. Before we entertain a motion, is there any discussion? Okay, open up for motion.
I move to approve in accordance with the staff findings.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lane, second by Mr. Vickers. Any final discussion? Please poll the commission.
Rouse,
Yes.
Briscoe,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Embry,
Yes.
Fajardo,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Jefferson,
No.
Lane,
Yes.
Ramos,
No.
Reynolds,
No.
Smith,
Yes.
Vickers,
Yes.
In the case of Z-22-26, what is the recommendation of staff?
Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Elijah and Ariel Basin for property located at 10273 Peony Lane. It's a request to rezone from R1B to R2. Staff mailed out 24 notices and had one returned in opposition and one with concerns. Planning Services recommends disapproval of this request to change the zoning from R1B to R2 based on the following findings. One, R1B zoning is the dominant zoning along the north side of Peony Lane. Two, the existing R1B is more compatible with the surrounding area than the proposed R2 zoning. Three, the existing R1B zoning is more compatible with the existing single-family use on the property than the proposed R2 zoning.
Welcome our public hearing on this item. Is the applicant or is your representative here to speak? Yeah, you can come up and state your name and comments.
My name is Elijah Basin. My address on the record is 9937 Iron Horse Trail, where I live at. So first off, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to come speak on this matter tonight. My wife couldn't be here tonight. She take care of kiddos, so I'm here. So we're here requesting a change of zoning for 10273 Peony Lane. We want to change from R1B to R2, and we have several reasons for that. So we purchased the property as an investment earlier in the year, and we'd like to turn it into a short-term rental. But right now, with the zoning being R1B, we can't do that. You know, we recognize the negative reputation that short-term rentals bring. However, we have a vested interest in the community surrounding 10273 Peony Lane. We live 2 blocks away in the 9,000 block of Iron Horse Trail, like I just mentioned. We currently take care of all landscaping and maintenance of the property. You know, we're not foreigners from out of state. We're only interested in profit. They don't have any concern for the welfare of the citizens of the community. Me and my wife both grew up in the area. We've lived in Waco 10 years. Currently a police officer for the city of Waco. Been doing that for 7 years and a detective right now. I think living so close to the property would allow us, me and my wife, to keep a close eye on what activities are occurring so that we can ensure it doesn't become a nuisance problem. Right now, there's currently only 3 short-term rentals in the China Spring area. There's no hotels or motels or anything like that. And with all the access points to the lake, I think that short-term rental would provide lodging assistance in lieu of the lack of hotels and short-term rentals in the area. One last reason, both my parents are currently declining in health and they live about an hour away in Rosebud. And so we think having a short-term rental would help provide a little flexibility in the schedule to bring them closer to home versus having a long-term, or if I got somebody in there for a year, you know, it's going to be hard to break the lease to get in there. And so that's an option too. So that's my reasons. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Any questions for Mr. Basin? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor on this item? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? Okay. We'll close our public hearing. We do have a recommendation of disapproval from staff. Do we have any final discussion? We'll entertain the motion.
You know, before we go on to the motion.
Yes.
Are there alternate findings for this application?
That's correct, I'm sorry.
Oops, sorry about that.
Thumbs up.
There are some alternate findings. I'll read those into the record. Planning Services recommends approval of this request to change the zone from R1B to R2 based on the following findings. One, proposed zoning is in conformance with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. Two, the property meets all the area and width requirements for the R2 zoning district. Three, the existing public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in the R2 zoning district.
I'm personally torn on this one because I know that the council has recently disallowed our short-term STR of this type in R1 because they're trying to preserve single-family housing and try to keep a cap on the value of property. At the same time, on this specific one, it's got R1B literally across the street and 2 blocks down. It's just because of the way it's kind of weirdly set out. So it's almost R1B already. So I guess I'm inclined to approve just based on that, even though it's not kind of the direction of the kind of my thoughts.
Your point being R2 is right, just down the street.
Right, R2 is, it's almost R2 as it is, it's just.
I would echo what Mr. Rouse said, as well as the concern, I think, with some of those short-term rental properties is that if the investor on those is far away or is unable to maintain the property, that could provide issues to single families there. It doesn't seem like in this particular instance that those concerns are, present. So I also am going towards approval of Mr. Rouse.
Way devil's advocate, it's a zoning change. Not saying the intention is to sell, but theoretically, were the property to be sold, it could easily be sold, and not have some of the restrictions on transferability that so.
Is there a buffer zone for R2 STRs?
So there is, yeah, currently there is a 500-foot buffer on that. I know we discussed that on what his particular use is. It's just trying to keep in mind that trying to look at all the different types of uses that could go into that, but their chief would be that concern. The main difference between R1 and R2 is flex allowed R2 and STR2 non-owner occupied. So that's the main difference there. But yes, there is a 500-foot buffer currently that would be applied.
Is there also a special permit required to?
There isn't, not for R2. No, sir.
That's all I have for discussion.
Anybody else have any points they want to talk about? We'll entertain a motion. We have recommendation of disapproval, but also alternate finding that have been read in for approval.
I move to approve based on the city's alternate findings.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Lane and a second by Ms. Reynolds to approve the alternate findings recommending approval of the zoning change. Is there any final discussion? Please poll the commission.
Rouse,
Yes.
Briscoe,
Yes.
Cole,
No.
Embry,
Yes.
Fajardo,
Yes.
Harris,
No.
Jefferson,
No.
Lane,
Yes.
Ramos,
No.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Smith,
No.
Vickers,
Yes. I believe that passes.
Okay, motion passes. We move on to case Z-22-27. What is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Ryan Mandel on behalf of Mandel Holdings LTD, property that's located at 713 Oakwood Avenue, to request a land use change from medium density residential office flex to mixed use flex and a rezone from O2 to C2. Staff mailed out 28 notices and had one returned in opposition. The applicant did indicate today that they wish to withdraw this application. Staff recommends the approval of the withdrawal.
We'll open the public hearing. Is the applicant here by chance to speak on the item? Is anyone here to speak in opposition to their request? Close the public hearing. Applicant has requested withdrawal and staff recommends that's one.
I move to approve the request to withdraw based on that.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Ross, second by Mr. Rivers. Any discussion? Please poll the commission.
Ross,
Yes.
Briscoe,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Embry,
Yes.
Fajardo,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Jefferson,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Vickers.
Yes.
The case of Z-22-28. What is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Mark Alsop on behalf of Storehouse Storage Waco CS LLC for properties along the north side of China Spring Road, east of Saddle Creek Drive, to amend the concept plan for a planned unit development PUD to one, add property to the PUD, said property being described as being a 0.047 acre tract out of the James Lane survey, abstract number 531 being a part of a 39.01 acre tract, and two, otherwise revise the concept plan of the PUD and rezone the 0.047 acres from R1B to PUD. Said property is jointly described as 7.31 acres of land out of the James Lane survey, abstract 531 in McLennan County, Texas, being a part of the called 5.00 acres conveyed to Thomas Parnell McNamara Jr. by a deed recorded under instrument number 2006012958 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, being a part of that called 2.00 acres conveyed to Thomas Parnell McNamara Jr. by a deed recorded under instrument number 2006012779 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, and being a part of the remainder of the tract for that called 39.01 acres conveyed to Michael Patrick McNamara Sr. By a deed recorded in volume 1716, page 607 of the deed of records of McLennan County, Texas, and 4.225 acres to Michael P. McNamara Sr. in instrument 2009031763 of said official public records, property ID 340533 and 340530. We mailed out 48 notices and had 2 returned. 1 was opposed by email, 1 with no comment. Planning Services recommends approval of the request to amend the PUD and change the zoning from R1B to PUD based on the following findings and subject to the following conditions. 1, proposed PUD is consistent with the land use component of the comprehensive plan and the purpose of Chapter 28 zoning of the Code of Ordinances and the planned unit development regulations. 2, the proposed PUD is in keeping with the purpose and intent of PUD ordinance by providing a high level of amenities, design standards while allowing flexibility in the use and development of the land. The conditions: 1, the final PUD plan must meet all the development standards consistent with the concept plan, PUD plan, and the site requirements of the plan review committee, including but not limited to the following: site grading and drainage, signage regulations, parking, site coverage, access and circulation, gating, landscaping, refuse location, access and fire protection, location and access. The property shall be platted in accordance with the subdivision ordinance prior to issuance of building permits. 3, an all-season landscape screen 4 feet in width, densely planted with evergreen trees and shrubs, which have an initial height of 3 feet and will attain a height of 6 feet within 36 months after installation, shall be planted along the boundary shared with the adjacent single-family neighborhood. 4, all site lighting must be directed toward the establishment and not at adjacent properties.
Thank you. We'll open our public hearing on the side with the applicant or her representative here to speak. Come forward, state your name and address, and make a comment.
Good evening, members. My name is Robert Horton. I'm with Horton TX. I'm the developer and I'm part owner of this development. What we're proposing is a fully conditioned self-storage facility, 2 retail lots, and an office lot. So we encompass the entire tract. Phase 1 of this development will be the storage facility. As I mentioned, fully conditioned, no outdoor units. It's a Generation 3 facility, meaning it has a high security establishment. You have key code entry, you have cameras, and any customer coming on site will be can be monitored from the point they come into the building, through the building, and back out, and all access is taken. So we feel like we're offering a pretty high level of security for the facility. Other amenities that the facility will bring, as mentioned, fully conditioned. We'll have stereo speakers throughout the facility. We have amenities and other product for the customers when they come in, whether it's regular hours, office hours, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and customers have access from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. This is our 4th we've done throughout the state, and have all been well received in communities. We worked with the city staff. They have asked us to add a southwestern flare to the building, so we've added additional stones to it, added a Texas star and some other character details to try to blend with the bank that's adjacent to us and kind of go with the heating of the area. We are happy to fulfill the other requirements that were listed in here's conditions. We want to be a good neighbor to surrounding areas. Happy to put in live oak trees, started at 6 feet and go up to 8, or whatever the council or and we'll keep our lighting to a minimum and actually turn it off after the 9 o'clock hour, 10 o'clock hour once customers go on site. It's intended to be locked down from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So we don't want anybody on site during those hours either. The noise we want security. So the retail pads and the office pads will be laid out here. We positioned along China Springs Highway and along the side street. We'll keep having some excitement. We'll have circulation off of China Springs Highway and then over off of Saddle Creek. So we'll have 2 access points for the full development. We won't have a high impact period for the retailers. But then we ask you to look at this. So,
Questions? Do you have any questions for sure? Thank you, sir. Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor on this item? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? Okay. Just one at a time. Feel free to come on up, state your name and address.
My name is Beth Montano. I live at 9937 Bridlewood Lane. I'm retired. I bought my house at this address about a year ago. I'm very enthusiastic that it was a really quiet, nice neighborhood, beautiful view of your wildflowers, and they're gone now. And now I believe that this storage site would like to come in. I don't see that it would enhance our community in any manner. I haven't heard that many details about the issues. The storage unit that I used to live next to for 33 years, you always have to walk very carefully past it to check to make sure there weren't anybody in the bushes shooting up or taking drugs. I sleep really well right now because it is a calm neighborhood. I don't see that the use of the land for a very specific temporary reason would enhance our living conditions in that neighborhood. I would like more information before this commences. I see that what would really be good there is to have a park, a splash park, a little place for basketball for the children to walk to, a place for a farmer's market. There's a drought, the farmers need support. We need good food. All we have is fast food. A place where nonprofits could come and do their fundraising, possibly a small library for the children with lectures, nonprofits that could come and talk about their work, a community that is served by one another, because your best asset in any town are the residents and the ability to function well. I don't see that that's going to happen here. And I really would like more information before any decisions are made. I'm disappointed that this has come up. I'm disappointed that we haven't gotten more information before this. And I'm hoping that we can discuss this amicably and see if we can come to some kind of resolution. Thank you.
Any questions for you? If you'd like to come up here, just as well state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Terry Sauls. I live at 9825 Bridlewood Lane. I live on a corner and they're doing construction completely around my house. There is no shrubs or anything. And what he has stated, I have questions. I believe what Beth has stated is our concerns as it being a community. That's why we moved there. I moved from Nevada. They wanted to put a storage right in front of our community coming in. This is almost right there. There are 13 families that will be affected by the properties that are being built. And those 13 properties will have to deal with the lighting. They will have to deal with the security. We do not know if there's any space behind the building for anybody to come around. There's a very big possibility of unwanted people coming there to rob you, burglarize your house, whatever. And that definitely was a fact in Sparks, Nevada. We were community, we had peace officers and everything else living in our community, but nobody wanted it because it didn't serve the community. And that's why I moved here. As far as being a community country, I think they could find another place to put a storage that we don't even know if it's going to have RVs. We don't even know if some people are going to bring in cars that are junk cars, and then it becomes not a good place to be around. He said 6 feet high is the wall. How high is the building itself? I heard it was 3 stories. And if I looked at my backyard, when I see trees, I see nature, birds, and I gotta look over my fence to a wall that's 3 stories high, I don't like that. And I'm not one of those that live on that side of the street, but it's still a concern. They have children. I'm older, retired, but they have children and they don't want their children to be exposed to anything that could possibly become something that's not really wanted why they moved there. He said 3 feet shrubs. Okay, you know, if it's maintained, okay, whatever. 9 p.m. lockdown, the lights go off. I don't want to be around when the lights go off. At night, at least they lock it down. Is the lights going to stay on all night long for their security? Are they going to have someone on in the, what they call, is it a house or when you drive in and you put your key in and they follow everybody that comes in, you know, how secure is that going to be? Because once they leave at 9 o'clock, it's not secure. It's not gonna be secure around the building or anything like that.
We do have a 3-minute time on that.
Oh, okay.
So if you just don't mind.
I apologize.
No, you're. Do we have any questions before the speaker? Is there anyone else here to speak in opposition to this item? You'll have the chance, yes, sir. Okay, and if the applicant would like to make a short vote, please come on.
Thank you. I'd like to kind of address some of the landscape buffer behind the facility ranges from 20 feet to 30 feet. We've agreed to put live oaks back there to help with the screening. It's a 2-story facility, not a 3-story. It's fully gated, fully secure. So when the last customer leaves at 9 o'clock, the gates block off. When you go out, you cannot come back in. We're happy to adjust the lighting to accommodate for the neighbors. If we use something on it, people would like some lighting back there, we can turn it all off. We want to accommodate everybody on that front. It is inter-standard storage facility, and it's not. There are no cars being stored on site. There are no exterior units. Everything's enclosed inside the building. We pride ourselves on keeping high quality customer base. We probably currently have over 70% on credit card. Which means our income level is high. And we run a Class A facility. So it's not what you think of as an older facility from the 60s or 70s where everybody has to keep the gate. And we do not have staff living on site. We're running a professional facility. We have an office and office staff, at least 2 people in the office at all times. So our intent is to be a good neighbor and work with the neighborhood and provide what details needed to ensure everybody is quality.
Any questions?
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Do you have can you recall it, do you have safety issues now at your other facilities in the state?
Never had a break and never had a death. We have other facilities in Waco. We have drone schools in Bryan College Station, in Fort Worth. We do not have any security issues, and we work very hard for that, because that's one of the first issues that customers bring up is how is the security of this facility.
And you said there's cameras all around, I assume?
Cameras at the gate, cameras at every entry point, and there's cameras throughout the building. So if somebody enters with a key code, you know the time and date they came in, you can watch them on camera going through, what door they came in, with the key code. And when I have a key code, I know exactly what customer entered, and I can follow them through the building and back off the property, so I can track their presence on site the entire time.
And it's monitored, maybe easy access to police, the police department?
Yep, the office areas are all have security systems.
Thank you.
I think there was some concern about, potentially RVs or things like that being parked in the lot. Was I correct in understanding that for phase 1, it's all interior units, correct?
For both phases, it'll be all interior conditioned space, no exterior storage, no vehicles, no outside units. It's all fully conditioned.
Thank you,
You're going to have to make that condition.
I have a question. Why specifically this area? Why specifically this area?
Because of the growth of the area. The real estate is good, the traffic counts are good. There are a lot of houses going in, and in many instances, this is a real asset to a lot of people who move into the area. They want the storage. They buy smaller houses now because that's what they can afford, but they need the extra storage space for Christmas decorations or whatever it may be. Storage has changed. We're much more of a quality place to keep a product, much like you use in a spare bedroom. But people want it to be close to the wall.
Now, the retail lots that are proposed at the front of this development, will those be retail connected somehow to the storage business, or are they potentially connected to anything?
Fully independent, happy to have sit-down restaurants. We'll be putting in the infrastructure so the roadways are there and the paths will be ready for development. We intend to develop this as well. So we will maintain the whole.
I assume this might be a question for staff. I assume all site lighting along residential property will be facing away from those properties, so it's not shining into the residential.
Certainly happy to do that. And we have no windows facing back toward the residential. And that's by intent. Somebody looking into the back.
Yes, sir.
I think I have to say that, this is the primary, road for commercial property in this area, correct?
China Spring Road?
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure I understood your question. If
Like-
it's,
Majority of the properties surrounding the residential.
Right,
This is
along China
commercial,
Spring.
So China Spring Road is different for commercial properties.
correct. And just as a reminder, the way that the project is laid out, they are proposing the self-storage facility. They are proposing, the self-storage facility for phase one off of China Spring Road. And then next to it, a couple of retail pads and then some additional storage that would come in as part of phase two behind those retail pads. So it would be a combination, what you see along China Spring Road, of commercial and storage.
Maybe another question for staff. Does the site plan, is this stuff made public for people who want to come to these meetings? Do they have the opportunity to see the site plans and see if there might be RV storage or outdoor units? They have access to this?
Yes, so the information that applicants submit to us and that ultimately end up in your Plan Commission packets are available online on our Plan Commission meeting information page. There's a link included in the notices that are mailed to all property owners within 200 feet, and so they have the opportunity to view that at the same time as you view it, which is typically on a Friday afternoon, the week before the meeting.
One last question for city staff. The recommendation is for approval of the amendment of the PUD and then to change the zoning from R1B. Do we need to have two motions here, or can those things be taken at once?
It can be taken on.
And just as a reminder, what we do here is a recommendation to city council. If we recommend approval and that passes, that would go before council on the 17th of May. So there'd be a secondary opportunity. And in the interim, certainly reviewing the plans and things like that, speaking with the applicant. Any additional discussion, question for staff?
I think I might use this as an opportunity to remind the audience and perhaps myself that we're not approving what the development is per se, we're approving the rezoning. If we approve it or disapprove. Is that correct? Am I saying that correctly?
So with the plan unit development, it is more specific to the uses that are being proposed in the concept. And so you are voting specifically to allow this change, which would open it up for self-storage facilities. Currently, the PUD that's established allows for retail, commercial, retail, office, and commercial uses only within those boundaries.
So we're adding that to the existing concept.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? We will, we have a recommendation, approval to the amendments to the PUD. I will retain the motion.
I'd like the motion that we recommend, the amendment of the.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Ramos, second by Ms. Jefferson. Any final discussion before we vote?
That includes.
Oh,
Amending the P, property to the PUD, the part. Correct, ROB to the.
You're good with that second. Awesome. Okay, any final discussion before we vote? Please poll.
Rouse,
Yes.
Briscoe,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Emery,
Yes.
Fajardo,
No.
Harris,
Yes.
Jefferson,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Vickers.
Yes. Okay, if you're following along on our agenda, our next item up is the abandonment case ABD 22-22-2 that has been requested for withdrawal. So we won't be taking that up unless there's anyone here who would like to speak, in which case we can open up public In the case of ANX 22-2, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is public hearing on a request from Big H Properties LLC, Joe and Virginia Ellis and Paula and Gregory DeJong, for voluntary annexing of territory designated the comprehensive plan land use designation for the said territory as urban residential, designating R1B single family resident zoning district for the said territory, and extending the boundary limits of said city to include the territory described as approximately 77.08 acres of land described as one being a 1 acre tract of land more or less out of the IPIT survey in McLennan County, Texas, being all of the Kenneth R. Bird 1 acre exhibit A tract, 1620-744, 244.93 acres of land out of the Alfred Willingham survey abstract number 897 and the Isaac Pitts survey abstract number 713 in McLennan County, Texas, being a part of the remainder of that called 136.2 acre tract described in a homestead affidavit to W. Paul Ellis and Doris D. Ellis, recorded in volume 1415, page 704 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, and being the remainder of that called 16.3 acre tract described in a deed to Lee Ellis, recorded in volume 338, page 330 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, and 31.15 acres of land out of the Alfred Willingham survey abstract number 897 in McLennan County, Texas, being a part of the remainder of that called 136.2 acre tract described in a homestead affidavit to W. Paul Ellis and Doris D. Ellis, recorded in volume 1415, page 704 of the deed records in McLennan County, Texas. These properties are located along the west side of Harris Creek Road near the intersection of Church Road and further located within Waco's extraterritorial jurisdiction. City staff has reviewed this request and recommends approval of the voluntary annexation.
Open our public hearing as the applicant or his representative here to speak. Come up and just state your name and address.
My name is Andy Moore, and I live at 2621 Regency Drive in Waco, Texas. This big guy back here is my partner, Ty Moore. And I thought I would explain a little bit of why these are in 3 tracks. A couple of years ago, we approached Clint Peters on how to voluntary annexation, and obviously the property had to be contiguous, so we purchased a 1 acre lot in order to make it contiguous to what is the south side of Sun West. And the reason that it's also adjoined with the Ellises and the Jongs is because they wouldn't sell us the property all at once in 1 year. They wanted to divide it into 2 purchases. So we had purchased the original 44.93. But in our agreement to do that, we asked them to please sign the annexation request. Today was also a day that we thought we were going to have the preliminary plat filed with this, but we're waiting on the water study and the sewer study. So for that reason, that's why we're doing just this at this point. So if you have any questions.
Thanks, sir. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this item? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? Close our public hearing. Recommendation of approval of the annexation. Staff, final discussion before we vote. Please poll the commission. Oh, sorry. Well, I'll do a motion first.
Wow. Motion would recommend. Second.
Motion by Mr. Ramos, second by Mr. Vickers. Any final discussion? Please poll the commission.
Ross,
Yes.
Briscoe,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Embry,
Yes.
Fajardo,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Jefferson,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Ramos,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Vickers.
Yes.
We do have our council liaisons on here today. If you'd like to make any comments before we adjourn the meeting.
Y'all do a great job.
Thank you. That concludes our business for this evening. We'll adjourn the meeting at 7:55.